Welcome back to my channel, CEOs. If you're anything like me, you've had some high highs and some low lows over the last year. And while social media may make it look all bright and shiny on a daily basis, today I'm taking you behind the scenes of the last 12 months in my business to show you what worked, what didn't, the lessons that I learned, and what I'll be doubling down on in 2024. Trigger warning, we're gonna get real vulnerable in this episode. There's no format to exactly how we put these in order. There's not like this was the worst thing or this was the best thing. I'm literally just kind of going through my year and saying what worked, what didn't, did I learn lessons from last year, and what can you learn from the things that I might have learned the hard way, right? I have enjoyed so much listening to these year recaps from creators that I love and love to listen to and love to learn from, because it's been so fun to hear behind the scenes, like what actually went really, really well in their business and why do they think it went well? And then what maybe didn't go so well, though it looked like it did on social media, right? So this has been a ton of fun for me to listen to other creators. So I hope that you enjoy this one as well. So in February of last year, we launched the Wedding Pro CEO Accelerator in its brand new format. So yes, the Wedding Pro CEO Accelerator in the format that it's currently in is only a year old, which feels crazy because we have seen so many success stories come out of this program, and I am absolutely loving. Literally, it's my favorite thing to do is to jump into the accelerator and answer questions in the community, be part of the live coaching calls, really see these wedding pros that are doubling their revenue. They're starting to pay themselves. They're stepping out of the day-to-day of their business. They're building up their dream team. It's been amazing to see these success stories come to life. So in February, we launched it for the very first time, like I said, in its new format. In that very first launch, we welcomed 13 new wedding pros to the program. Over the course of last year, so all of 2023, we actually welcomed 72 new wedding pros into that program, which means that 72 wedding pros are now having these businesses that they've dreamed of, right? They're doing the work. They're focusing on the business behind their business. They're focusing on how to build more profit, how to increase their revenue, how to create this team that's going to help them to be able to step into the role of CEO. And it has been absolutely amazing. So that was really a high of 2023, was seeing how that program came together. We also added several coaches to help me inside the program. So for the first 6 months of the year, I was the only coach inside the program. But as we kept adding new pros and adding new pros, I started to realize that I needed support for the pros inside the program to be able to make sure that everyone was really getting that high touch service into their business to get the answers to their questions that they had as quickly as possible. So I added an assistant coach into the program who is an OG student of mine. She literally slays it in her business. She is incredible. She has a wedding planning business and a rentals business in San Antonio, Texas. So we added Katie as a co-coach into the program in August. So that was amazing. And our students love her. They absolutely love her. And then we also added my right-hand person, Allie. She does all the tech inside the program now. So she does calls with our students once a month and helps with any tech issues that they're having or how to get a new software set up. So she works with them on that. And then we also have Danielle from Kickstart Accounting, and she works with our pros once a quarter to really focus on any bookkeeping questions that they may have. And so in addition to myself being in the community and helping these pros to really build these amazing businesses, we have now a whole panel of coaches that's inside that program. I would call that a win from 2023. We were over the moon with how many people joined that program. And this is something I'll definitely be doubling down on in 2024. And actually what I'd say is that I'd be tripling down on it because our goal is significant. We are creating a movement of wedding pros, okay, that are ready to say enough with the overwhelm, enough with not getting paid for my business. I am ready to start paying myself a salary, and I'm ready to step back and not have weddings every single weekend. I want to build a team that can really take my business to the next level. And so we are committed to having at least triple the number of students this year. So we're tripling down on that in 2024. Also in February, I hired my business coach. So you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, that I am passionate about education and that I think every business owner should have a business coach that's gone before them, right? That it can give them the shortcut, can give them the easy strategies and help them to miss out on some of the bumps that are in the road. That's what I love doing for my students. And so I thoroughly enjoy having a business coach. So last year we made a pretty significant investment. We invested $6,000 in a high-level mastermind program that I joined with Gemma Bottom Carter. She is a coach for coaches, but she specializes in really helping you to refine how you teach and what you teach inside your programs. And so a lot of the reason I think we were so successful with the results we've seen for our students inside the accelerator is because of how I was taught to teach my students by Gemma, right? And so for me, that $6,000 investment back last February felt huge. It was absolutely a massive investment to put out in our company all at one time. I felt very, very anxious about it, but I also knew that to grow and scale as fast as we wanted to and to be able to impact as many wedding pros as we wanted to, that I needed to make that investment and I needed to go all in. So I would say a lesson that I learned here that I feel like really returned dividends for me is that I made a promise to myself that I was going to make that money back, at least make that money back in the first 90 days of being inside that program. So it was a 12-month program or 11-month program really, because we started in February and it went through the end of the year. But I made sure that I was going to make that money back. So I set the time aside in my calendar to really do the work and to deep dive into doing it. And the reason that I want to say that that's a lesson learned or something that I would want you to take with you away from this episode is because so often I see people that buy a piece of education and then they're like, oh, I just didn't have time to do it. I didn't have time to do it. And I'm like, you need to make time. Like, education only works if you do. And it's so, so important that you set that time aside. The second piece of it that I really want you to hear me say is that it helps you to understand that the risk is so much more minimal when you promise yourself that you're going to do the work and at least make the money back. I actually had a student join my program last fall, and she messaged me on Instagram. It was so funny because she was like, I'm super anxious about the dollar figure on this program. Like, it makes me a little bit nervous because my program is a high ticket program as well, the accelerator. But she was like, but then I thought, wait a second, I can spend this much money to make $100,000. Like, that to me, then she's like, it just makes so much sense, right? And I'm like, yes, that's the exact mentality. When you think about it less like, oh, this is an expense of my business, and more like, how much of a return can I get on this investment? Like, I almost gamify it for myself. I'm like, how much of a return can I get on this investment? So my goal was to get at least a 10 times return on that investment. I knew I was going to at least make my money back, right? Like, I was like, I know I'll at least get 1 or 2 nuggets out of this program, at least. So I started to be less concerned with spending the money. But my goal was to 10 times that investment. And it was very specific. I was like, if I join this program, it's a $6,000 program. I want to make back at least $60,000, right? Like, that was my goal. And so I can happily say that a huge win from 2023 was actually being able to 80 times that investment, which was super, super exciting for me. And you guys can do the math if you want to know how much that is. But that was really, really a massive win. And I would say, I'm super excited about it. Now, I would love to say that I'll be doubling down on this in 2024, but Gemma is not going to be offering that program just for personal reasons again this year. So we had to choose a different business coach. And so I am excited about that because we finally signed on with a new business coach. And I'm really, really excited for the goals that we've set for that program and the return on investment that we know that we're going to get from it, because we're going to get into the program and we're going to do the work. Right? So I'm super excited about that. So for me, I'll be doubling down on education in 2024. Okay, March, April, and May are always heads down, go time for the summit. Every year we host a live in-person summit called the Wedding Pro CEO Summit. It's the first week of June every single year. And so March, April, and May, I really spent just heads down working on our content, our swag, exactly how the flow would be, our events that we were going to have, when we were going to do networking, and all these different things. There's so much intentionality that goes into the Wedding Pro CEO Summit. So a huge win in 2023 was that we doubled the attendance that we had from 2022. So that was super, super exciting. We also had some incredible new speakers last year. So that was awesome. And what I loved so much about this summit, like it is every year, is that there are just so many genuine relationships that come out of this event. So I'm thrilled, over the moon excited to be hosting this event again, but this time we're going to be hosting it in Austin, Texas. So in 2024, it will be the first time that we've taken it outside of Orlando. We're going kind of in the middle of the country. We're going to Austin, Texas, and it is such a fun city. So we're definitely doubling down on this in 2024. We are hoping to double the attendance again this year, and we're really, really excited about the speakers and the sponsors and the way that we're setting this event up. This year, our theme is going to be CEO University, and we are going deep into back to school. We want to take you back to school. We want to have hands-on education. We want to have office hours with the speakers. We want to make sure that you have incredible, intentional time for networking. And so we're really excited about what's going to come from the summit in 2024. Tickets are still open for that event. So if you want to grab your seat and learn more about this event, you can go to brandeegaar.com/summit and come back to school with us. We would love to see you at the summit this year. And hopefully you'll be part of that doubling down in 2024, because we are here to see wedding pros that are not afraid to do the work to build their businesses, to build that profit, and to start paying yourself and build your strategic team this year. So I'm excited about that. Okay, so here's one of the things that didn't go so great in 2023 and had lots and lots of lessons learned. So in June, shortly after the summit, we actually lost one of our key employees in the business, and for Blush. And so that was one of the most difficult things that happened in my business last year for me, for several reasons. One, this employee was our sales manager, and she was a killer sales manager. You guys have probably heard me talk about her several times on this show, and she was a really integral part of our business. And one of the reasons that I was able to be so hands-off with Blush, that I was able to fully focus on the education brand. We have several amazing employees at Blush, but two of them were significant and key, and we lost one. And so losing half of your significant key employees that kind of run the show is very, very difficult, right? And her reasons made total sense. So everything is good. She's amazing. I absolutely wish her all the best. And she stayed with us for several months to handle weddings and things like that. But in looking at that, that was a real turning point for me. And I'll just be super, super honest. I actually have not talked about this at all publicly until last week. Last week, inside of my high-level mastermind group, I shared what has been happening with this over the last 6 months with them, because I think it's really, really important, and this is a Jenna Kutcherism, to speak from a scar and not a wound. And so had I shared how this was affecting me as it was happening, I think you guys would have thought I was crazy. I know some of my closest industry friends thought I was crazy. My husband thought I was crazy, because some of the ideas that I had to fix the situation were crazy. They were nuts, and I should never do them. That's why I didn't share about it publicly. But I do think it's massively important, because I learned so much by going through this situation. And I think a lot of these things you can actually take away and implement into your business. So I'll first tell you one of the crazy things that I thought last year. This all happened in June and July, and she stayed on to help us with sales until the end of the summer. So we really had a salesperson through September 1st. And what I knew, though, was that I didn't just want a salesperson to replace her. I didn't need just a salesperson. I really needed that person to take over my role at Blush. And what I mean by that is that, I feel like I've lived through every season in Blush so far. We'll see if there's another one, but I've been in that hustler stage where it's just a one-man show and maybe a couple of people helping you on event day, right? I've been in that stage. I was in the stage where I was building a team and it felt overwhelming because I was trying to juggle all the things myself and try to manage a team, right? Like I had a total huge client load and a team. Then I was in the season of being the CEO, which is a season that I've been in for many, many years now, where I didn't necessarily do a lot of the day-to-day work myself. But I was fully responsible for mentoring and training our team and really still very much part of the day-to-day decision making that was happening, right? So I had a great team that was executing, but I was that CEO. Once this key employee left, I really didn't have a person to buffer me from our team. And I started to realize that I'm in a season now where I don't really even want to be the CEO. That's not the best role for me anymore. I would love to bring in a CEO, but I thought that's crazy. Like that's not a real thing, right? Like I can't replace myself as the CEO. I always have to be that person. But by listening to a lot of business books, I was listening to business books. My husband actually sent me a YouTube video from Alex Hormozy, and I learned a lot about how you can replace yourself as the CEO of your business. And at some point, most businesses, even big tech and big software companies, do this. The founder of the company is not always the best person to continue running the company long term. And so they bring a CEO in to help do that. And so as I started thinking about it, I was like, is this something that we can actually do in our business, right? And who would it be? What skill set do they need to have? How will the team react to them? Will they respect them? Can I really step away from that role? And what skill set would I want this person to have to be able to hand them the reins of my business? And what does that training process look like? All these things that we were talking through, right? And so what's been really, really cool about this entire experience is that once I realized that I could hire this role out and that I did want to hire this role out and I'd kind of written out the skill set that I wanted this person to have, I realized that I had the most incredible candidate sitting right inside of my Accelerator membership. She's actually in my local market and she was newer to starting her business. And I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about it yet because we have an episode coming up in a couple weeks where we're actually going to talk a lot more about how each of us came to say yes to this, like how I even figured out like, yes, I can hire this role, got up the guts to ask her if she was interested in doing it, what her reaction was, and then how we've made that transition from her having her own company to now running mine, and what it'll look like for us over the next year as she transitions into this role. So that was something that I feel like was almost year defining for me in 2023 because losing this key employee, I can tell you, again, super vulnerable episode, there were many, many weeks where I thought that my response was going to be to close Blush. It felt like it was too much, like the weight that was sitting on me was too much. And so there were many, many weeks where I thought I was going to just let it go. And thankfully, my husband and Allison, who works with me, my other key employee, and some really trusted friends in the industry all talked me out of that. And I think that was just that vulnerable moment of kind of being like, what do I do? What I did know, and this is something that I will be teaching my students going forward, what I did know for certain was that it was not my responsibility to step completely back into Blush, right? I knew that I didn't want to just take over her role, take over her weddings. I knew there had to be a solution that wasn't me. And so the reason I share this with you is because too often I'm working with students who will say, you know, I just had an employee tell me that they're leaving, their last day is going to be in 4 months or whatever. And so I guess I'm just going to be taking back all of their weddings, or I guess I'm just going to be taking back my social media or whatever it is that they do. And I'm like, wait a second, why do you feel like you're supposed to take that back on? Because then that just puts you back at ground zero again, right? Every time an employee leaves your company, And please trust me that they will. You will not have the same team forever. So you will lose employees. Every time, it's a way for you to really look at your business from the top down and say, okay, what opportunity does this provide us? Instead of looking at it as a negative, give yourself a second, right, to kind of wallow in it, and then look at it and say, what opportunity does this provide us to make that role better? Who is the perfect person to fit inside that role? How can we restructure the role so that it will help our business grow even more next year, right? You don't just want to slap a Band-Aid on it. You don't just want to take the role back over yourself. You want to make sure that you're really using it as an opportunity to grow your business and to expand what you already are doing. So there was never a time where I thought I was just going to take back over her responsibility. That never even crossed my mind. Now, I did have to take back over sales, and we're going to get to that in just a second because that's another lesson learned. I did have to take back over sales, but I always knew it was going to be for a season because we had to have a sales manager as of September 1st, and I knew that I was not going to be ready to make a decision by then. I knew that I wanted to go a different direction with this position, but I didn't know what it was at the time. So I gave myself the freedom to say, I'm going to take back over sales. That's the most important thing. The weddings we can get covered by other planners that we can hire. But we 100%, I knew I was going to take her role back over. So that was lots and lots of lessons learned. And hopefully you can learn some lessons from that too. You may not be hiring a CEO, though I'm super excited to get to have this experience and start teaching my students exactly how to get to this point in their business and to know that a sale is not the only way to exit your business. Like, I'm still very much going to be the owner of Blush, but in the next several months, once we start making this transition fully, I will no longer be the CEO. And I'm really, really, really excited about what that looks like and how that's going to rejuvenate our planning business. So that's lessons learned and hardships and what didn't go great and what I hope to not take into 2024. This is one of those things I'm not doubling down on in 2024. I do not want to have to revise the team again in 2024. Okay, so let's talk about sales and me taking back over sales. So I have not sold in my planning business for 4 years, which I didn't realize it had been that long, honestly. But right before the pandemic, maybe 6 or 8 months before the pandemic, we had transitioned me away from sales and we brought in a sales manager. And so I haven't done sales for 4 years, which is crazy. And here's the thing. I love sales. It's like so exciting. The thrill of the yes, the thrill of the send us a contract, the thrill of the, getting that payment in right after you get off the phone with them is super exciting to me. I absolutely love that. However, sales, as you know, takes an incredible amount of time and flexibility in your schedule, and I had neither. So trying to figure out exactly how that was going to look for me to take back over sales was interesting to say the least. And because I hadn't done it in so long, I will tell you, the first couple of times I got on a consult, I felt like a fish out of water. Like I was like, I know the steps. I know what I'm supposed to say. I know what's next. But it felt like I couldn't get the words out. Like I felt like I was just stumbling over my words the whole time. So the first couple of consults, I would almost be amazed if they said that they wanted to book us because I was like, seriously? Like that was a train wreck. But I quickly got my feet back under me and it was great. And I have really, really enjoyed it. Mainly because I haven't done sales in several years, it's been really, really fun to kind of flex that muscle again and to be able to say, okay, what I'm teaching, I know for a fact still works because I'm doing it. Now, I would often check in with my sales manager in the last couple years and say like, hey, this is what I'm teaching inside my program. Do you feel like that's what you're doing? Is it still working? Have you seen any trends like things like, going straight to a scheduling app? That was something her and I worked out together. So our clients could schedule directly in a consultation with us. Starting to text. We do text consults actually quite a bit, and we close a lot of business just over text. Again, that was something her and I worked on that I now teach. But actually doing it myself was like a whole different level of being able to say, this works. Like I know it works because I'm literally doing it on a daily basis. I'm still closing $20,000, $30,000 months which felt amazing that I could still do that, right? So that felt really, really good. And it felt great to be able to know, hey, these are the tools that I'm teaching, and I know that they're working. So that was something that I loved in 2023. And that while it kind of came out of losing that employee, that was like a silver lining. And I'll take it. I will say I do not plan on doubling down on this in 2024. I will be happily handing over the reins to our sales in April. And so I'm excited about that. Hey CEO, if you're loving what you're hearing in this episode and you want to know more about how to book $10,000, $20,000, and $30,000 months in your business, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and that you turn your notifications on so you'll never miss a new video. Okay, this one was fun. In the fall, we actually implemented a new chatbot automation in our Instagram called Mini Chat. I did an episode about this not that long ago. It's episode 212. We'll actually link it in the description below as well so that you can click on it. You can go watch the YouTube video and watch exactly how I did it step by step. And I show you how to implement this into your own business. But this is the reason that our Instagram engagement has skyrocketed. And it's actually getting so many more people to DM us about our services. And instead of us having to reply directly, this chatbot is sending them our pricing. It's sending them our calendar to book a consult. So we don't have to do that ourselves. We can just show up and market and speak directly to our ideal customers. And then all they have to do is enter a word like consult or services into the comments of any of our posts, and it'll automatically send them the information that they're looking for. This has been a real game changer. And what I love about teaching wedding pros how to use it is that it can really, really help you to book more business directly from Instagram, and you don't even have to be involved in it. Like, you can be in a meeting, you could be at a wedding, you could be sleeping, and your chatbot automation can be booking clients for you, or at least getting them to a consult and onto your calendar for you. So I feel like Mini Chat was a huge win for us last year, both with Blush and with my coaching brand. So that is something that we will be absolutely doubling down on in 2024. And if you have not set this up yet, y'all, it takes less than an hour to get this set up. So I'm telling you, go right now to the link in the description and watch that episode so that you can set it up for yourself. Last thing that I'll share, and I hesitated sharing this one because I thought, I don't know, this feels a little bit too vulnerable. But I did share it inside of my Accelerator Mastermind a couple of weeks ago. And I had so many messages afterwards of people just saying, thank you so much for sharing that, because it made me feel like I wasn't failing, like I wasn't losing my mind. Like I could see what you were doing, and it made me feel like I'm doing okay. And so this thing that wasn't so great in 2023 is that we did not hit our revenue target for Blush. Now, what does that mean? So we had projected a 20% growth for this year, which, just so you guys know, it gets harder and harder the bigger you get to project bigger growths, right? So typically I only project to grow 10% year over year, and I'm super happy with that. Last year, because of inflation and because of all the things, I put a 20% growth on our target, our financial target, and we did not hit that, which is a little bit frustrating to me because I love hitting my goals, but I also am the kind of personality that I prefer to make a bigger goal than I think I can hit to stretch myself and to make myself work harder. And I'm okay if we don't hit it. Like, it doesn't bother me if we don't hit it. I definitely want to go back and figure out why, but I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm failing. But it is vulnerable to share that, because a lot of times you think, oh my gosh, they're a coach, they're an educator, like they're killing it in their business. They must always hit their goals. They must always exceed everything that they think that they're going to do, right? And that's not always the case. We still did more business in 2023 than we did in 2022. So I'm thrilled with that, right? Like, growth is always a good thing, but we didn't quite hit that 20% growth marker. And so the lesson learned here that I want you to take, if that's something that you felt in 2023, I heard it from a lot of wedding pros. I heard a ton that were like, Brandee, I literally slayed my goals. I'm so excited. And then I also heard a ton that were like, Brandee, I'm not making my financial goal. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. And so here's the lesson that I want you to take from this, and what I did as well. I don't want to just say, wow, that sucks that we didn't meet our goal. That sucks that we didn't hit that financial target. I guess we're not good enough. We'll just have to try harder in 2024. Like, that's not an answer, right? One, everyone experiences down years, right? So if it's down from 2022, it happens. In 16 years of being in business, I promise you, I've had that happen to me before, okay? Second thing I want you to look at is, were you actually down to 2022 or were you just down to your target? So for us, we didn't hit our target, but we were up from 2022. So I call that a win. Like, I was like, growth is growth. I'll take it every day, right? So we were still up from 2022. So that's something that I definitely want to go back and look at. In January, how many leads came in? How many of those booked a consult? How many went to contract? In February, how did that happen? In March, how did that happen? I go month by month and I look at it and I want to see, did we not hit our target because we didn't take in enough leads? Or was it because we didn't book enough consults, or because those consults didn't convert? And that helps me to know where our sales funnel broke down. Now for us, a lot of the reason we didn't hit our target was quarter three. And as I look back at quarter three, it totally makes sense that that was when we were transitioning from my employee doing sales to me doing sales. And I already told you guys earlier in this episode, it took me a little bit to get my feet back under me. I felt a little bit like a fish out of water. I was trying to figure out how to fit all of these consultations into my already very busy schedule. So we didn't have a ton of times that people could book as well. We were transitioning away from her and to me, and it just makes sense that we were getting the leads, but we weren't even, it just was a mess in quarter three. I'll just be super honest. Quarter three was like, I haven't seen numbers like those since like my first 5 years in business, okay? But the good thing for us is that quarter 1, 2, and 4 were killer. Like, I knew after quarter 3, like, Brandee, you better get it together and figure out how to pull this together in quarter 4. So Q4 was amazing. She had already set us up for a killer Q1 and Q2. We were over expectations there. So had we not had that transition in Q3, I really think we would have exceeded the goal that we set, but that's okay. Like, life happens. As long as you know why it happens and how you can fix it for the following year, then that's what's most important. I want you to not just look at your numbers and go, that sucks, we didn't hit our goal. I want you to understand exactly why you didn't hit your numbers. And then I want you to make a plan as to how you're going to fix that going forward into 2024 so that this year you can exceed the goals that you've set for yourself. So there you have it. That's my year in a nutshell, all the ups and all the downs of my business. But I can tell you guys right now, I am so ready. I'm so hungry to slay my goals in 2024. Every single month inside the accelerator, we're adding new features. We are doubling down on our education. And so if you are ready to slay your goals in 2024 too, I would love to see you inside the accelerator. There's a link in the description. Please go check it out and join us inside the accelerator so that we can double your revenue in 2024. If this video was helpful, make sure that you check out the other videos that I've pinned in my description below for more strategy on how to build a profitable wedding business that you actually love.